Okay, hi, welcome. I'm going to try show you as many folds as I can with this thing, and as much of the details that I can in about 10 minutes. Excuse me. So without further ado, I will begin. This is really a short video so that you don't have to dig through all of my other videos to find the main sort of stuff that surrounds this thing. Right, so here we go. Remember the film The Matrix, Neo the One? Remember the color of The Matrix? Remember how they filmed that thing, the colors they used? Remember them going on about the code all the time? Being able to see the code? Guess what? There's a bunch of codes in here. This is the one, alright? So, let me explain. Alright. For whatever reason, I just got obsessed with this thing, and I started looking at it, and there was some things about it that just, I'm like, why are these, why is this different here, And I don't think it's just a case of making it more difficult to counterfeit. I think that there's a hidden code in here. Now, we'll let you be the judge of that. Right, I've already wasted a minute. So, the first place we need to make a fold to reveal some numbers is up here where the little Illuminati owl would be, right? Where the end of my finger is, right? That pattern is also repeated here, 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 and here. Okay, it looks a little bit like a moth, kind of reminds me of Silence of the Lambs, that idea of a moth right there. Okay, that may be another clue to that pattern. Okay, so we're going to make a fold straight up and down on the little Illuminati owl first. Okay, and we're going to fold that over, and it's going to match up pretty good. In fact, it matches up perfectly if you do it just right with this O-shaped thing with a little tail on it. The shield matches up perfectly with that, right? And then we have some other things down here. So we have some numbers already appearing here. We have an 8, 11. We can make an 8 here, and there's an 11 inside it. And then this, well, if we turn that up the other way, look. Do you see that? Looks just like a 10, doesn't it, with an 11 stuck inside it. So we have a 10, 11 and an 8, 11. We're missing the 9, 11. Okay, well, I'm going to show you where the 9, 11 is right now. Let's start counting up, because we've got one side here and we've got one side here, so we can count up some numbers. So let's count up. We'll start at the bunny ears, follow the white rabbit, Neo. So we've got 2, and then we've got 5 leaves here and 4 berries. So we've got 2, 5, 4. The 254th day of the year is 9/11. All right, that corresponds to that date. On this other side, we have 2, 3, and a 1 berry. 2 leaves, 3 leaves, and 1 berry. Okay, so we have a 2, 3, 1, or a 2, 1, 3, or a. We don't really know what order these go in. Okay, we've just got a set of numbers there. We're going to get to that here pretty quickly. Okay, because when we made that fold, we covered up some leaves. Okay, do you see these leaves that I'm exposing here, here, and here? We've got a 5, and 1 berry that got hidden. So we've now got a 155 there. If I go 155 days from the 254th day of the year, from 9/11, I will end up at February, the second month, February the 13th. Alright, so, okay, so is that convincing you? I don't know if that's convincing you yet or not. So let's do something else. Let's do something else that's interesting. How do I want to do this? So if we go, look, I've already got it folded there, but if we go back to this fold where we've got to do these fold markers here, and we're going to bring that one over to this one. Okay, you see at the bottom there? Sorry about my thumb, split it. And I folded it there, and what I end up with is a Greek letter called lambda. Lambda is the 11th letter of the Greek alphabet. So we have another 11, another November date, and it's got a numerical value of 30. So we have an 1130 there, right? 1130 is St. Andrew's Day, the Great Scott. Yeah, you remember the Doc in Back to the Future going on about the Great Scott all the time. Great Scott this, Great Scott that. There we go. That's your Great Scott reference right here. Lambda, the 30th. It's a holiday. In Scotland anyway, I think. Maybe. I don't know. But that's the day, right? That's St. Andrew's Day. Now, the reason why I'm telling you this is because we're going to get back to this date here in just a second, this 213, because there's another set of codes in here, all right? And this was something that was winding me up with this thing, was why is this sort of pattern here the way it is, and why is it looks like it's on its side here? Well, I'm going to tell you what this pattern is. Think of an old black and white photograph of somebody, and think of the picture frame it would have been in, right? That is a hint that you're looking at the front of a portrait. Yeah, that's a portrait frame, and this is a face-on view of that portrait. Well, we've got the face-on view of the portrait right here. The face-on view of Washington is right here. So what we need to do is we need to go to this side view of Washington. Where does the side view of Washington show up? Hang on. Here's your side view of Washington, okay? It's a quarter. Now you need 4 of these to make $1, to make a dollar bill. So now we have the idea of maybe some dates coming up in quarter intervals, in 25-day intervals, right? So there is a date that for various reasons I chose to start at, and it's not the 30th of November with this date. The date that I actually chose was November the 5th, right? And the reason why I chose November the 5th is simply because at the time, well, actually, there was various reasons, but one of the major reasons was the film V for Vendetta, yeah? Because where we're getting to is we're going to V-Day with this thing, and I'm going to explain why in a minute. But I chose to start at Remember the 5th of November, because it's such a significant thing within the consciousness. You know, even a lot of people in America have even heard of the 5th of November. So it's super significant, right? So I decided to start the 5th of November. And something interesting is this 155 that we had across here, the days that we jumped. That 155, if you minus that away from 666, you will end up at 511, the 5th of November, right? So that's why I chose to start at the 5th of November. There's other reasons as well, but that's all buried in videos. Now, if I start at the 5th of November and I go 25 days, I get to the 30th of November. If I go another 25 days, I'm at Christmas. I'm at the 25th of December. If I go another 25 days, I am at where am I at? I'm at the 19th of January, which, if you remember, the 19th of January, if we just flip those numbers around, we've got a 911. If I go another 25 days, so this would now be a full dollar, I am at the 13th of February. So we've done a whole complete dollar. This is significant because this comes in line with some other ideas of the one being born, yeah? February itself is the day where we add one day in. The one is born every 4 years, yeah? So we collect up 4 quarters and then we add that day in February. So it's a significant idea of the one being born again, right? Now, so we have that lamp. So the Great Scott is in here. So that's super significant. What else do I want to say about folds on this side, right? Well, there's another fold on here, and we're going to fold across from this point to this other point, right? And okay, what we end up with is this. It kind of looks to me, well, if you've seen my other videos, you already know what I'm going to say. This looks like a dam with water flowing over it right here. Yeah, because the idea of the dam collapsing is the idea of the collapse of the matrix. Yeah, the dam is the thing that contains us, right? It's the mother, the dam. Yeah. It's also the dome, and we can look at it several different ways. But the water, the dam has crumbled, and water is flowing over the dam here, right? So that's again on those fold marks there. Now, if we go to the other side, we've got a pyramid, and we've got the eagle, right? Well, if I was to say to you, this is the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas, and this is Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah, so we've got Nevada and Arizona that are split. So the dam would be right here, where the one is going to come from. Okay. Now, to some people, what I'm saying now does not make any sense at all. But what we have between those two things is the Hoover Dam. All right, and we can do another fold on here. I'll just do it quickly. It's hang on a minute. Okay, so this is a bit like those folds for 9/11 with the other bills, right? But again, we end up with what looks to appear to be a dam with water coming over it or flowing from it, and this would be the Pat Tillman Bridge right here, that's in front of the Hoover Dam. The I don't know what it is, the New Order of the Ages bit of Latin there. So, just interesting. On the other side, I think it's a kind of a goat head or something. I'm not really sure what you'd call that, but so I think that's, for the most part, that's all the folds. Yeah, you can kind of twiddle stuff together a little bit differently here as well. What we would call a Vesica Pisces shape here, which again is where, which is again where you're going to be, where we're reborn from. And if I could just get this right, you actually end up with the word sort of T written there as well. Yeah, the T, the cross. Okay, the T is balance, basically. So anyway, that's interesting as well, but it's not as significant as all of the codes that are on here. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say other than that. I'm trying to think, you know, if we've seen the toilet reference. Look, Washington is in the toilet bowl here. If you can see, this is like a toilet seat lid. I'm trying to think of some other little bits and bobs to talk about very, very quickly. 155. Yeah, the 155. If you look at a regular clock face, yeah, hang on a minute. If you look at the clock face, if I put this on 155, right? Well, actually, it'd be like that more, but but if we're looking at 1 and 55, okay, what do we have? 1, 1, 1. Yeah, the 254th day of the year happens to have 111 days left in the year. So that's super interesting that this 155 ties in with a clock face, like in Back to the Future, like what's on the Hoover Dam. So it's interesting that that ties in there. And what do I want to say about it? The triple bar event, yeah? We're talking about Las Vegas, triple bar on the slot machines. The triple bar, yeah? The 3 legs, the flux capacitor, 3 legs into 1. So, what else do I want to say about this? As for the year, we did have the 2-2 by itself at the top, which again was interesting. The 2-2, the 22 maybe this year. What else do I want to say? Did I mention? I think I mentioned about the Pi Day here. I want to mention that. The 300 and... Let me just do a few other little interesting things. If we take 666... Sorry to just talk. If I take 666 and I minus that 254 off of there now, that takes me to 412, right? If I read that backwards, 412 is 214. 214, again, is Valentine's Day. yeah, and we're back to that tie-in with V for Vendetta, the V, which is it's the valley, it's the dam, it's the place where we're born from. But that V, V for Vendetta, I don't know if you remember, but whenever he would kill one of the baddies in that, he was leaving a Scarlet Carson, a red rose, with them, right? Now, I mean, if there's any kind of flower that would reference the 14th of February, it would be red roses, wouldn't it? So we have the 5th of November tied in with the 14th of February. What else do I want to say? There's many more interesting things about Washington's birth and death date that fit in with this as well. And I want to leave it at that, really. I just want this to be a short video so you can see where the folds are. You can see that it's super interesting, you know. This day here as well, 2/13, February the 13th, is also the countdown day, the final countdown. It's 3-2-1. There's 321 days left of the year. So I think it might be that, I'm not sure, but it might be one of the only days of the year that does that, with having the actual date reflect the numbers of the day in the year, if that makes sense. So, anything else I want to say? The 666, also, the 666 and 6 cubed, which would be 6 cubed, is 216, which again, 216 brings us very close to that same set of dates as well. Anything else interesting? If I were to go 155 days in the opposite direction now, from 9/11, that would take me to the 9th of April. Okay, now the reason why the 9th of April is significant is because it's the twin date. The corresponding day of the year is September the 23rd, which happens to be the autumnal equinox, which, if you go 9 months from Christmas, would be the kind of symbolic birth of man. And at that point, the symbolic birth of man matches up with balance in the year, the equinox, okay, when the day length is the same as the night length, if you like. So I don't know what else to say. That is pretty much it in a nutshell. I will edit some of that out of there. Hopefully that will be less than 15 minutes. All right, hope you enjoyed. There is a lot more on this. There's a lot more to this. There's a lot more predictive things out there in reality that coincide with this. One thing is Rain Man, you know, the film Rain Man. The idea that this is now the time for man to reign, the death of the Matrix, right? So that film's heavily loaded with numbers that reference this. Back to the Future, of course, is heavily loaded. Back to the Future 2, that whole scene with the hoverboard, I think the hoverboard is referring to the Hoover. And that whole scene with the courthouse getting smashed up on the hoverboards, I think, is the programming for the destruction of the Hoover Dam. And what more do I want to say? REM. If you go and check out REM, The End of the World as We Know It, there are some super interesting, significant things in there. This thing shows up on a skateboard, all right, in their music video. Side B of that music video is an instrumental that happens to last 2 minutes 13 seconds, and it is called The Last Date. Interesting stuff. You know, the rose shows up in the REM thing. A portrait shows up in, you know, a portrait shows up in the REM thing. There's a bunch of other significant stuff in that video, but I don't know what else to say. You have to be the judge of what I've just told you. You have to decide for yourself what you think it means. I know what I think it means, but I'll leave it up to the individual to decide for themselves whether there's something to this, or whether I'm just reading too much into what I'm seeing here. Alright, thanks for watching. Alright, cheers, bye.